You know that song, Winter Wonderland, where that guy sings about a winter wonderland? This is what he's talking about. Look at my beautiful face. I'm not a close angle guy. I do not look good right now. Hang on. I thought I would have showered. Those colors clash like really hardcore. Why do I look like this? Who designed me? 3 degrees or 1,000,000 degrees? Those are the only two options. It's 1,000,000. No, turn it off. There we go. Off. There we go. We will get started. We will get started with this, I promise you. Whew. Unique, New York. Sunday. I wake up and it's still dark in my room, but I'm not remotely tired or drowsy. I think about going back to sleep, but I'm drawn to this red glow that's coming from just outside my window. It's not quite light enough to make out, but it's just enough to pique my interest. So I go and check it out. When I pull open the door, I'm greeted by a calm and beautiful blanket of snow that has completely swallowed up everything in sight. It's spectacular. I haven't seen this much snow since I was a little kid. Do you ever wake up so early in the morning or late in the night? Or do you ever wake up when it's so dark outside, but you still haven't checked the time, so this world feels like really dreamy and like it doesn't exist in time? This was one of those times. I decide I can't go back to sleep when I'm clearly being invited by some force of nature to explore the sheets of snow that await my curious eyes. So I bundle up and head out. I just start walking. My destination is still a mystery to me at this point. I don't even know what time it is for sure. The street signs were completely covered in snow, making this dreamy experience all the more mysterious. I get all the way past McDonald's as the sun starts to rise, so I figure some coffee might be nice. The warmth was nice. The taste of McDonald's coffee, not so much, but I power through. I walk for what seems like days, but in a good way. This was fantastic. I make it all the way to my sister's place downtown, and as soon as I get inside, I notice that my AirPod case is not in my pocket. I've only got the one that's currently in my ear running out of battery. My sister helps me retrace my steps, but I walked over 7 miles, and with my AirPods being white, there really wasn't a shot in hell of us finding them among the piles of snow that covered everything. I find some wireless headphones on Amazon that I'm a little iffy about, but I decide I'll take a chance because of the low price point. Here's to hopes, right? Monday. The roads are still frozen over, so my first day of school is canceled due to inclement weather. I take this opportunity to finally work on the new lifting routine I hadn't finished yet. I also watch about 2 hours of YouTube videos to try and teach myself how to freestyle stroke. I've never swam like this before. Once I feel semi-confident about swimming, I decide to hit the pool. When I get into the pool room, at first I was pretty nervous. You see, I'd never competitively swam anywhere before. I'd only really swam like for recreation in public pools. I'm not even sure I know the proper way to get in. Wait, is there a proper way to get in? Against my nervous judgment, I walk up to the water and slip in. I feel very unprepared. I see the swimmers in the lanes on either side of me swimming with great speed and agility. So I watch what they do and start to remember what YouTube taught me. I begin swimming. About 30 seconds later, I'm brought right to the present moment. I am here, I am in the water, and I'm training for this swim. I develop a love for the water within my first few strokes. This is going to be a great experience. Once I'm done, however, I feel exhausted. I dry off and head to the weight room and do a few sets on bench. After that, I feel like I might pass out if I don't get some food or lay down. In retrospect, I was probably partially dehydrated, but I also just wasn't used to that kind of full-body exercise. I realized that I was going to need some time to adjust to swimming before I go full force and lift in the same day. When I get home, I decide it's finally time to start taking my calories seriously again. You see, I sort of let myself relax over Christmas break with calories. I ate whenever I felt like it, and I felt like it quite a bit. I think my first mistake was that I ate McDonald's and other trigger foods. This is something Michael Saltzman talked about on my podcast a few weeks earlier. You might know him from this meme that went viral a few months back.
Now you know how you're supposed to handle things.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have, for me, with my health, I had certain trigger foods that I couldn't eat because if I had one, I'd have the whole thing, right? Pizza, French fries, Doritos, different things where it's like, I can't just have one serving. I'd have all the servings and I'd still be hungry after. It's like, okay, well, once I've identified those unhealthy habits, now I need to have a healthier relationship with those habits, meaning maybe I need to stop eating those specific things altogether.
I started down that path and it was mighty hard to stop. But I finally confronted myself. I looked in the mirror and decided it was time to take this seriously again. It's not about vanity, it's about discipline. Side note, when I say discipline, that goes both ways. I watch my calories with the goal of not overeating, but I also have to make sure that I don't undereat. I've set an exact calorie marker for myself. I can't just eat 400 calories less than my goal and feel like I'm getting away with something. Undereating is just as unhealthy as overeating. Anyway, a good rule of thumb that Michael says is your goal should not be to lose weight. Your goal should be to be more healthy. Tuesday. I wake up to my alarm at 6:15 and head to the pool. Once I get in the water, I can tell immediately how sore I am. I make it my first 200 meters and my arms are on fire. By the way, the exact routine I'm using for this week can be found on My Swim Pro's YouTube channel. I'll put the link to the specific video in the description if you're interested. Anyway, after swimming, I grab some coffee and head to class. Later, because I have some time on my hands, I decide to watch Cool Hand Luke on Netflix since it had been recently suggested to me and I'd never seen it. This movie blew me away. At first, my impression was that this movie was about how awful prisons can be, but I soon realized that its point is entirely different. Cool Hand Luke is about how the suffering and oppression of life doesn't matter as long as you never let it get you down. No matter how many times Luke gets knocked down, he just keeps getting back up. That's the thing. I think a lot of us, I know I do, feel like losers when we get knocked down. We feel like if we were better, we would have never gotten knocked down in the first place, but that's not true. Everybody gets knocked down, even Luke. The real loser is the one who never dusts himself off and gets back up again. It reminds me of a line from the Navy SEAL ethos. Quote, "I will never quit. I persevere and thrive on adversity. My nation expects me to be physically harder and mentally stronger than my enemies. If knocked down, I will get back up. Every time. I will draw on every remaining ounce of strength to protect my teammates and to accomplish our mission. I am never out of the fight." End quote. Later, my new headphones come in the mail, and I am blown away.
Like 100% in every way, I think they're better than AirPods. I was like, the sound quality is not as good, but they come with 3 different size, like little ear thingy thing that goes for the size. I tried the smallest size. They're amazing. They sound just as good as the AirPods, like genuinely. They might look like a little much because they go completely around, like I guess they're bigger than the AirPods. But I actually like it better because I always felt like, especially when I go on whenever I did any longer than a 10-mile run, I'd feel like my AirPods were gonna slip out. They don't have any kind of gripping substance. So not only are these rubber, but then also these have these things that go around the ear. There's no way they're falling out. They feel amazing. They can do more than the AirPods can. They have more ability. I can also turn up and down the volume on these things. As far as I know, you can't do that in AirPods. I never knew that, and I was never able to do it. These are amazing. I could have my phone in the other room and do everything on these. I could tell Siri to play a song, turn it up or down, call someone from these. I can do anything.
Wednesday. I wake up to my alarm with immediate disappointment, so I hit the snooze button with the silly idea that I'll be fully relieved of my drowsiness and ready to go in 8 minutes. This, of course, is not the case. I get to the pool and the water immediately turns my attitude around. There is something about that water that brings my mood right up. After class, I get a call from Ripple of Light, a production company I've worked with off and on for a while. They helped me produce my short film Black Roses a few years back. They're looking to hire me on full-time, so I come in for a visit to be shown my new office. It's a work in progress, but the guys at Ripple of Light are great, so I'm stoked to be working with them again. Later, I get home and start to feel a bit of a lull creep in, so I head to Front Porch Coffee Shop and get some reading done. I've had a friend of mine's personal poetry books for some time now, and it's about time that I finish and return them. I sit and read while listening to some classical music, and I am brought right back to that beautiful place where poetry takes me. I feel immediately in touch with the beauty of these words. My friend Callie said it was alright for me to share this poem that she wrote with you. When I read it, I thought it was a perfect addition to the vlog, and it really goes with my goal for the vlog. Quote, what if instead of putting off good habits until tomorrow, we put off the bad ones until tomorrow? Then instead of never becoming the person we want to be, we will never become the person we will surely resent. End quote. Her poetry is fantastic, and that's just a taste. It's been a privilege to read them these past few weeks. Before bed, I get a call from Thao, a friend of mine who lives in Vietnam. We catch up and chat for a bit. She teaches me some more Vietnamese, and then I get ready for bed.
Say you want to say hello to somebody. In Vietnam, not say hello when you see this. You must say, "Con ăn cơm chưa? Có khỏe không?"
This time, it's lights out by 10, and I am determined to win the morning. Thursday. I woke up and had a pretty tough battle once again. But this time I put up a pretty decent fight. I know the lights are good for training your circadian rhythm to wake you up, so the second I wake up and feel the desire to go back to bed, I turn every light on that I can find. I still find myself falling back into bed, but the lights keep me awake enough to fight. I laze around for a little while, but I refuse to shut my eyes and go back to sleep. I turn on my audiobook to activate my brain just a little more. After a few minutes, I'm good to go. So I head to the pool. Again, the water takes me immediately to the present moment. There is something about that water. I head to class where I experience my next revelation. What psychology does right is it focuses on, here's the problem, let's identify it, and here's what needs to be done to help the person with the problem. But social work seems to focus more on, hey, the person you're talking to isn't a lab rat. She said, but it's gonna be hard because there will be times when you're sitting across from someone who becomes your client that you don't want to help. She's like, we can sit here and theoretically go, well, everyone's deserving of my time. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. She goes, but when you're sitting across from someone who's like, you know, rude and it just seems like they don't care at all. It's like you can very easily dehumanize them without thinking about it and very easily go, you know what? I don't know that they are worthy of my time. This is a real person. You need to treat them as such, and not just that, but also you're a real person and you need to be aware of the potential that you have to be shitty, basically. During my next class, we encountered the Zoom breakout room problem. You see, ever since the pandemic created need for more Zoom in our lives, professors have been trying to get crafty with it. This usually takes the form of breakout rooms. We're given some semi-vague instructions and then we're forced to stare at some strangers for an unknown amount of time. Last year, I legitimately remember waiting in a breakout room for quite a few minutes before someone actually spoke because we didn't know what to do, and it was awkward. This time, I wouldn't let the awkwardness win. This time, I took charge and led the group, and it was actually not that bad. As soon as I started talking and leading, the other students felt comfortable to share their thoughts on the assignment, and everything went pretty smoothly. Lesson learned. Never be afraid to become the leader. I don't know why it's so daunting to speak up sometimes. I guess I fear sounding stupid. But I shouldn't, because we all sound stupid sometimes. And if you can get past that fear, good things can happen. Great things can happen. Afterwards, I take a walk and have a shockingly excellent revelation about my new headphones.
So I definitely might be insane, but I'm almost 100% sure that I've been hearing parts of songs that I've never heard before with these headphones. So like, I was listening to Listen Before I Go by Billie Eilish. It's a song I've heard 1,000 times before. But this time I'm hearing like these little background vocals and pieces and elements you put in the song that I've never heard before, or at least I've never noticed before. Maybe the metaphor is, it's like when you're with someone for a long time and you get used to being with them and you feel like you're completely in love with them and there's nobody out there as good for you as this person, and for whatever reason you lose them in the snow and you always think, I'm never going to find anybody else. And people say there are plenty of other fish in the sea, which is so true, but you never believe it. Like, you never believe it. You're like, no, I get what you're saying, and I know maybe it's true for everyone else, but it's not true for me. I'm never gonna find anyone else. But you will. Like, there's so many people out there, and there's so many that would do so well with you and have a great relationship with you. And odds are, if you just go out and live your life and don't mope around all the time, you're gonna find them. Maybe these will have some disadvantages, like they're harder to carry around, but maybe they'll be better in literally every other way. and ultimately you'll be happier that you got them, and you'll notice little subtleties about yourself when you're with them that you'd never noticed before. You'd gone to the movies or to a ball game 1,000 times, but now that you're going with them, you're noticing these little things you'd never noticed before because they point out these things. I'm really trying to make this metaphor work. I really want to have learned something in this debacle, and I feel like I did.
Later, I decided to read more poetry since Callie's book got me back in the mood. I pick a book by Mary Oliver since she never fails to blow me away, and I head to Front Porch Coffee again. Friday. I wake up and finally I win the battle. I don't want to get up, but I use the light trick again, and I watch some swimming videos for tips before I head to the pool. This swim went pretty well, and I'm even getting faster. The only problem is my Apple Watch. It doesn't record my strokes very accurately, which can be pretty frustrating, since I bought it with swimming in mind. It's not too big a deal, I just have to make sure I keep track of my laps in real time. After the swim, I notice a persisting problem that I haven't quite got a handle on just yet. Once I get to my car, I start to crave donuts with all of my heart. I call my sister to see if she might join me on this unhealthy journey, but luckily she invites me to Front Porch Coffee, where they have a new breakfast biscuit that she wanted me to try. Thank God for that. I avoid the donuts, and instead I have this fantastic fried egg biscuit. As a sort of counterbalance, I have a semi-unhealthy lunch due to my tight budget, with the promise to myself that dinner will be healthy. I do not advise this method. I head to my next class where I hear some ideas that sort of throw me for a loop. So in social work, I'm around mostly women who, think this particular way that social workers usually do, and I don't want to be outside of the group my whole life if I'm a social worker. I want to be able to relate to them. I want to be able to be part of the team, basically. So I hope that I can come to some kind of understanding and some kind of peace within myself about what we talked about today. Again, I know that's super vague, but if there's anything to gain from what I'm saying right now, it's be patient with yourself when you're frustrated about something. Just because you can't accept something right now doesn't mean you never will. And just because you can't accept an opinion if you never do, doesn't mean that you can't accept a person who holds it. I just saw a dog by itself walk into Dollar General. After class, I head over to Ripple of Light to get some work done. While trying to explain how I now have the biggest office, James clears it up.
Oh no.
I don't see any walls, do you?
You see, when I walk in here, I see invisible walls. Now, would you like to know where those invisible walls are?
You see something that's invisible, James?
I do.
That means you have a condition.
I walk in and I'm like, oh, hey look, it's Jackson's office. See, now I'm in here, and I'm leaning up against the wall. This is where I see the invisible walls at, okay?
Just so my ego doesn't get inflated.
So,
So I don't think that this whole space is for me.
correct. And in theory, I could argue you have the smallest office.
Later, I get a chance to watch the new movie Run, Hide, Fight, produced by the Daily Wire. Here's my spoiler-free review. It's pretty damn good. It's action-packed and well thought out. I would advise don't watch the trailer since it contains spoilers, and do not watch this film with the little ones. It's pretty graphic and intense. Before bed, I make sure my swimsuit is dry for the morning, and I do some editing for the vlog. You see, last week I wrote, shot, and edited the whole thing on Saturday, which consumed pretty much my entire day. So I figured it would be easier to write as I go along, which was a lot nicer. Wait a second. That's odd. I've gotten to the point where the script is now referring to itself. This feels a little meta. But I digress. So I ran into a bit of a problem with my healthy dinner. It wasn't that bad, I just went over my calories. I'm still trying to find a balance between restriction and living a life where I'm not hungry all the time. But I'll save that conversation for another vlog. Saturday. Today. Oh, shoot. I don't have anything written. So I woke up at 6:15 and I went to the pool, but I found out the pool doesn't open till 11 on Saturdays. And it's 10:14 right now.
As strong as white prejudices.
Alright. I'm gonna go swim. I'll be right back. Alright, and I'm back. Let me just take care of that smudges. Does that look good? Am I in focus? I think so. Today I went for a nice swim at 11 a.m. It was a bit later than I was used to, but the pool didn't open until then, and it was nice to have some extra time to be in the water. My shower was particularly cold today, but oddly enough, I found myself enjoying it. There's something about bearing the cold that makes me feel truly alive, a lesson the Iceman himself, Wim Hof, knows all about. Anyway, all that said, I'm pretty happy with how this week turned out. I've fallen in love with swimming, my book keeps getting better, more on that next week, and though this week started with the loss of my precious AirPods, I found an even better alternative. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, follow your goals and be at peace. I'll catch you guys next week.
I'm the gecko. I'm ready for a swim. Okay, you can stop.